This week on Pivot with Purpose.
So any accolades that I had from that point on, they didn't address me as Olympic gold medalist or world champion or anything like that. It was 2-time drug offender. Every article I read from that point, it was 2-time drug offender. And that's how I was labeled for so long. It got me to a point where I didn't enjoy reading articles about me, even if they were deemed in a good light later, because it always was an insert or a snippet of certain things that happened in my career like that. So I kind of just not reading.
How do you not keep resentment to that person or the situation? Because I feel like I would still be looking for that motherfucker.
God.
The Lord will always deliver.
God.
Welcome back to another episode of Pivot with Purpose. I'm your host, Carla. We're back with a really special guest, actually, return guest. Remember?
True.
You've been here before.
True.
We got a guy on the pod, ladies. We don't usually have too many guys that come on the pod, but we have Justin Gatlin with us today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me again.
Again. Last time I had him here, I received a phone call afterwards from like your PR people. You're like, hey, oh my God, I shouldn't have said that. I was like, well, it's in the air. What are we going to do now?
We good now.
We're good now. That was years ago while this was still shit. I'm 30. So thank you for coming on because I know it takes time. And you live in Timbuktu. Actually, no, you moved closer.
I'm closer now.
Yeah, I forgot you moved closer.
Everything's more 20 minutes now.
Okay. Before it was like an hour.
45 minutes.
No, that wasn't 45. So I'm friends with his wife. She's amazing. But every time she said, let's meet, I was like, that is like going to Miami. They were so far. I'm like, that is not Orlando.
Listen, you got to pack everything. Swim trunks.
Yes.
A couple of snacks for the journey.
Definitely need snacks for the
all
journey.
that.
But you're back in Orlando. Okay, good. So we're going to start the episode. But before we do, I want to shout out an Apple Podcast review. A reviewer, I should say. This one is from Sid Avery. So thanks, girl. If you have not yet, go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Leave a 5-star review. We're almost at 500. So thank you guys. And we got it at 4.8 instead of 4.7 because a couple of weeks ago I told you there was some haters. They went on there and put a bunch of 1 stars.
What?
To lower my 5.0 rating.
You might as well not put in those stars in there. They doing it on purpose. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. They're doing it on purpose. Girl, listen. It's fine. We see you. I acknowledged you. You got it. Good. But now my tribe is way stronger than that. So leave that 5 stars in a review. So anyway, Sid Avery. She says, so relatable. Carla is so relatable. Thank you for honestly sharing your ups and downs through adulthood as a single working mom. Thank you for that because it's really what I talk about. Single as fuck. I'm working a lot and feel like them kids, which means that I got kids. It means that I have kids. These kids are wild. Would you ever be a single mom?
Would I ever be a single mom?
Would you ever choose, like if you could choose for like 6 months to trade your life to be a single mom, would you do it?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't think anybody would.
It takes just watching single moms just perform life, period, right? On a daily basis. And then trying to have a social life on top of that and meet the next potential man of their dreams.
With these kids, they're going to be rude as hell.
Kids going to be rude. You're going to have a limited amount of time.
Right.
Certain things you can do, certain things you can't do.
You can't do shit.
It's crazy.
It's insane how much.
But shout outs to all the single moms out there.
Absolutely.
You really put in that work. You really raising the next generation.
We are. We really, really are out here, going hard. But remember, ladies, I always say we're not in this like we got to be strong era anymore. Like fuck that, honestly. Just find a way to pour into yourself too, because the kids end up suffering. So thanks, Sid, for that. If you don't know who Justin is, it's probably because I haven't said what he does, or you're not into sports, or you're just like, I don't pay attention to men because we're allergic to guys at this point in time. We don't want no niggas around. But this one, it's crazy because I said this years ago. I didn't meet you or get to know you as an athlete.
Yeah, that's right.
I
didn't
know shit about it. I was just like, oh, he does it. Oh, cool. So he's a fast runner.
Yeah.
Like, perfect. But he's marrying my friend.
But I don't even help because I really don't talk about it. You know what I mean? When we together, we talking about everything under the sun except what I do.
Except sports.
Sports, exactly.
So if you had to give like a quick rundown, because we're going to talk about stuff kind of with sports, but if you said, I'm Justin Gatlin, who is Justin Gatlin? What's your elevator thing?
Man, well, let's just put it like this. Usually the lifespan of a track and field male sprinter is about maybe 8 years, right?
Okay.
I've been in the game for almost 20 years.
Damn.
Exactly. So I'm a dinosaur. I like to think I'm a velociraptor if I'm a bee.
Okay.
But I've won everything that you can win. Olympic gold medal, world championships, broke the world record. And I ran the fastest time at one point. And I'm the fastest oldest man. So that's what they call me right now.
Really?
Yeah.
That's your thing, the fastest, oldest man. I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually a blessing. Like, honestly, because if you're saying that a lifespan of the sport is 8 years, not many people can say that because they're done. They're out by a certain age.
Yeah.
So
true.
The fact that you've been healthy enough to be able to do it, blessed enough to be able to go and have the opportunity to still be in that space, because that's not high school or college.
It got kind of awkward at times because guys I competed against would go on later to become coaches, and then they would start training athletes that I would compete against.
Oh yeah, that's
so
weird.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
That's kind of like playing against your kids' friends.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, now I'm racing your team, your classmate or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be weird. No, but it definitely is. I do remember talking and hearing things about how you were your age in the space. But that also came because of a suspension that happened. And also, right, there was some time that you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't run.
I'll say my body was preserved for about 4 years.
Okay.
Right. And that's 4 years of not having no income at all. So
we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, so but other than that, I still think that I'm a kid at heart sometimes. So
I think we all are. That's when you really age, when you lose the inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not getting old inside. I'm forever gonna make fun of Ayana and Song.
Exactly.
I'm gonna cut up. I want to mature, but I don't necessarily want to like just grow old and boring.
I tell my friends all the time, y'all are getting old. I'm not getting old, so I still remember all the fun.
Not necessarily old. I'm aging, I'm maturing, but I don't want to get old.
You're
and
seasoning.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Like fine wine.
Exactly.
Not cheese, because cheese stinks, but wine for sure. I want to touch today with you something that's happening a lot. And that's the whole, shout out to LSU, the girls, for winning.
Yes.
I've been talking about it because I'm in radio. I don't know shit about college basketball. I don't watch them. This has really made the news, not necessarily because who she is as an athlete, not because of the work that they did all season, but it's on the news really because racism, really.
Yeah.
Honestly. So if you've been under a rock, basically the women's NCAA, LSU and Iowa. Where at the end, 2 days prior, Iowa beat Louisville, I believe it was. Don't quote me. Beat somebody. And she did this hand gesture on her face. Basically, you can't see me. And does that come from a wrestler?
John Cena.
Right. See? Yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about here. So John Cena does this whole... Now, trash talking is my thing. I was an athlete, and I do remember playing basketball, but and I've talked about this, I believe, here on the pod, that when I got pregnant my senior year, I lost my scholarship to go play basketball.
So were you the biggest trash talker, though, on your team?
Absolutely.
You look like you was a fighter.
I was. I was the type. I remember, I think it was like 9th or 10th grade, I put my hand in a jersey to pull the girl down. Like,
so you was an enforcer. That's what they call them in the basketball terms.
Tried. I was a trash talker. We're not talking about me. All I know is that I remember about trash talk. I've grown and I went to therapy. So I got pregnant and I resented the sport a lot. There was very, very dark times where for about 10 years, I didn't watch basketball at all. I don't care if it was women's, men's. I didn't want it because it was a sad reminder of what happened to me, right? Mm-hmm. And then it's not that I did anything wrong. I got pregnant at 17, but so many other girls have babies and they can go on to play. So I felt like my entire future was gone. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. The point here is that the girl does the you can't see me. She's trash talking. It's part of the game. And then 2 days later, they go to the championship. LSU wins. And Angel Reese, who seems to be the star of LSU, great player as well, taunts the girl that did it 2 days before.
Clark.
Which is a white girl. Now we're talking about a black girl, LSU, white girl, which is Caitlin Clark in Iowa. And she does the exact same thing, just with better swag behind it. I think they're just mad that there was some sauce to her. You can't see me. And it goes immediately, the media is like, oh my goodness, she's so classless, and just talking like it was so negative, yet forgot all about what happened 48 hours prior when Caitlin did it herself. So
Yeah.
did you ever experience as an athlete, one, did you trash talk? Because I don't know if in running you can trash talk, you be out of breath.
You can't trash talk while you're running. I mean, that would be impressive. You know what? Actually, it wasn't trash talking. It was talking with my teammate and my training partner at the Olympics while we were running to get to the next round. So we're in mid-stride running. And he looks over at me and says, while we're running, full speed, he looks over at me and says, you ready to go to this damn finals? And I looked over at him while I'm running. I said, you damn right.
And they kept going?
And we kept on running.
But that was your teammate?
That was my teammate, yeah.
So when does the trash talk happen in track?
Usually on social media now. Not so much in person, because when you do see your opponent, you're warming up, you're getting ready in your respectable areas, and then you see them when you go into a call room, and then you go onto the track. So
what about right before?
Not so much. Everyone's so focused, everyone's so quiet, right? It's an intense moment.
All right.
Mind you, there are athletes out there who kind of go against the grain and they trash talk while they're in the call room. You know what I mean? Or when they get out there on the track.
So you weren't one of those?
Not in those moments. Okay. Now, hotel lobbies, almost been in fights. I mean, I trash talk maybe in the dining hall, something like that.
What'd you say?
It's so long ago. I told you about 20 years.
What was the fight came from trash talking?
So someone said something to me and they said, I bet you ain't gonna beat us this time around. And I remember saying, well, you wasn't talking all that when you was looking at my back. And then they lunged at me and they wanted to fight, right?
And you're like, I don't fight with losers.
It wasn't even that. I was about to fight, you know what I mean? But the fact is that it gets intense.
It does.
It's intense.
And it's a thing that's within sports regardless. So the biggest thing here is me seeing that I remember being a young athlete and just being a girl and you couldn't act. My idol was Allen Iverson. He was one of the biggest trash talkers. He used to come he was a rebel. He came into
But it's also gestures though. Like remember when he stepped over Fisher in the Lakers, right?
Yes.
He stepped right over him after making that shot. It's the gestures. That's how track and field is. That's why you find in a lot of sports, it's more or less the
body
gesture.
language.
Exactly.
And that's what I loved. You know, it's like if I blocked the ball, it's like, or like if I threw the ball with like, oh, that was just too intense. That's too much. And that's what happened here. But it's seeing the difference on how they see us women as not passionate, not athletes that, are in the mood or in the mode, but oh no, they're too aggressive.
See, I can't roll with that because I look at athletes as athletes. Doesn't matter if you're a male or female or anything in between. I just think that how you compete is how you compete and whatever you're comfortable at. Right. There's a lot of people who are quiet and just go out there like Steph Curry and just knock down his threes. Right. It's successful. You got a lot of people out there who talk a lot of trash. You know what I mean? And that helps them be who they are.
Right.
So it shouldn't be defined as, oh, it's okay for men to do that because it's bravado and it's testosterone. Macho. It's like, oh, it's macho. And then women emulate that. And then all of a sudden, that's too much. That's not what we're here for.
Because that's a feeling that doesn't come with what gender you are. It's I remember those days you're winning or you do something and it's the surge of, I don't know, adrenaline that comes over you and you feel good. So seeing that happen, I'm like, man, there is trash talking or body language trash talking or whatever it might be in every sport. And for this to go viral in 2023 just brought it back to like, what the fuck? Now, did you ever, because in the same realm of it all, were you ever invited to the White House during your stuff?
Multiple times, yeah.
Did you go?
Yeah.
With what president?
I was there with Obama.
Hey!
And we were there with
Donnie?
Bush. No, not Donnie.
No Donnie?
I didn't do that.
That would have been
I missed out on the Donnie one.
No, let me tell you something. Donnie. That is one funny guy.
Listen, I can get McDonald's on any corner. Don't serve me McDonald's at the White House. That's not what I'm here for.
Oh my God, he did serve the McDonald's.
Don't make me feel like you didn't realize I was coming, so you had to scramble to get stuff together. Like, hey, let's get some McDonald's or pizza. They'll love it. You know what I mean?
He ain't shit. He's hilarious. Like he will make the news or something will go viral from him like every day. But Jill Biden did say something that she wanted to invite both teams, the winners and the losers. And I saw Angel Reese saying, well, we're not coming. I'm good now. Like, I'm good on the fact that you even wanted to say that. Since 1865, I believe I saw Shannon Sharp, is that his name?
Mhm.
Shannon Sharp say that since 1865, a loser has never been invited in any sport.
Never.
So you've never heard of it?
Never. Now, mind you, I don't know if there's a soundbite or an article where she has come out and said why, the reason why.
Well, she said because they both, in the speech that she gave, and we can insert this here, Imani.
So I know we'll have the champions come to the White House. We always do. So, we'll have LSU come. But you know what? I'm going to tell Joe, I think Iowa should come too because they played such a good game.
She says that because they both played a great game. She's like, winners and losers, all about sportsmanship.
No, that's at the level that they're playing at. There's not everybody gets a trophy and everyone gets ice cream at the end.
What?
It's you have to recognize the hard work and success of the team that won, right? And not taking anything away from Iowa or Clark, but the fact is, from a fact from history, good players get beat by good teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened in the situation.
I was just about to say that because then I started watching clips and checking out stats. It seems like Caitlin Clark is the best athlete that was on that court that day. She probably is, but from what it looks like. But it wasn't Caitlin Clark versus LSU. It was Iowa versus LSU.
Exactly.
So Caitlin lost with her team. So her team has to stay home. Not the White House. Now, would you have gone? Angel says she's not going.
I agree with her.
You wouldn't go?
I wouldn't have gone.
It's a slap in the face.
It is. You don't tell me that the team that all these teams that we worked to beat, all the way to get to that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then now, because whatever reason that she feels is fit, that both teams should come.
She said, I'm going to talk to Joe. Sleepy Joe woke up. Sleepy Joe said, I'm going to get up from this nap. What the fuck? Jill, you fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Jill, go over there and work with the women or something. Like, hush your mouth. Like, you don't even say something like that. So I'm sure Sleepy Joe woke up and put a tweet out and sent it. But I don't know if it's going to work or not.
But from what I heard also, one of the reasons I said that they didn't want to go to the White House, not only because of what she did, is also because in Joe's bracket, he didn't have LSU even winning.
He didn't even have nowhere
even near the
way back there in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So that tells me either you don't know basketball or you too busy doing whatever else.
So since I didn't watch it, were they a good prospect for winning?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Joe, why is Joe doing a bracket? Sir, don't we got something going on in Ukraine?
Listen, he needs to worry about making sure these dollars stay up.
He needs to wake up.
Right? Exactly.
You wake up for a bracket, but you don't wake up for... Man, sir, they're about to do actually, they just signed it. We don't have to have our license anymore for our weapons here in Florida.
Yeah, it's like Texas now.
No, we still have to be concealed. I believe in Texas you can show it. Here it still has to be concealed, but you don't need...
A permit.
So you can carry it with you and no one will know. We don't know who's carrying out and they don't need a permit. They can just get a gun. And in Florida, you don't have to register your gun.
Dangerous times.
We live in a very unstable state.
Dangerous times.
Florida, we have a lot of mental health. People just aren't all there, including myself, but I have one.
They say it's the sunshine. The sunshine makes us crazy.
Is it? But I feel like in New York, because they don't get enough sunshine and it's cold, they're crazy too.
Yeah, I mean, they just disturbed. They just angry.
They are angry.
Yeah.
They're not very nice. We smile at least when we do it.
Yeah, at least.
Most mug shots, we smile like, yeah, I killed that nigga. What's up?
Hell yeah, I'm going to cut your ass off in traffic.
With a smile the whole time. And then show up at the party like Casey Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
Kill the whole baby and then go party for a month.
Jamming, wasn't she? Damn.
She was partying for 30 days after she killed that baby.
I rewatched it actually the other day. It came on TV and I was like...
You watched the Peacock or the Lifetime?
I think it was a Lifetime.
I refused to watch the Peacock one.
Yeah?
I know what you did. We know what you did. And for you to now cry these many years later, if Ayanna's about to be 18, 15 years later?
Oh, because the Peacock is hers, right?
Peacock is a journalist, basically talking and trying to give basically her side of the story.
Okay.
And
so she's just trying to make money off of it, basically. That's what it is.
They didn't say if she's getting paid or not. But I don't care. White women tears.
True.
Don't care. You got away with it. Just be fine. So here in Pivot with Purpose, we talk about, you came when it was still shut. I'm 30. I was struggling in my 30s. And now I came into a space where I'm about to be 36. I'm old like you now. It's coming. I gotta get my grays touched up and shit. My back hurts. I was doing a photo shoot. He's like, stick your hip out. Nigga, I pulled my hip out and I caught a cramp.
You caught a cramp?
I caught a cramp. I said, we can't do this no more. I'm trying to suck it in, pull the hip out. I can't be a model. This is not for me.
If you're going to get old, you got to go into like the old phases. Now you got to start doing yoga and Pilates. You got to.
I took a free Pilates class. First of all, I know why it's a white women's sport. It's expensive. Oh my God, it's expensive. But two, it was just a quick little legs up to the side. I'm like, I got this. This was hard.
Yeah.
It is so hard, but it looks like it does some stuff. So I might try it. I went twice last week and now I think I'm skinny. Orange Theory. Literally went 2 times in the past 6 months. Can't tell me I don't have a 6-pack.
What about bar? You ever heard of bar?
It's too early for me.
Is it?
What the fuck I look like? Me doing ballerina poses?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I don't know. Your hip was just cramping up.
There, it might fall off. No, man. That's all I think about. Like, no, I'm not no damn bar. Does your wife do bar?
She does Pilates. She does Pilates.
Yo, they be going to those Pilates classes, and I see them in the group chat talking about it, and I'm like, hope you guys are having fun. They're all skinny except me.
She says it's intense. She says if she misses out on certain amount of sessions, going back is almost like starting all over again.
Sheesh.
Like muscles are trembling and everything.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard. Now I see why Janice and Dex and Steph all look like that. Because while they're working out in Pilates, I'm eating. So we know what kind of friendship we have. They don't invite me to Pilates. I invite them to eat. They tell me no because they're on a diet. And I'm like, well, okay, boring ladies. We'll figure it out when you have a
Y'all
break.
gotta live life a little bit.
I keep telling them, let's go. We have to reschedule one of our trips. But anywho, transitioning, right? So you had to pivot at some point. You already did 47 years in running. So now it's time for you to do something new in your life. What does that look like for you now? Like you had to transition after so many years of being an athlete. Like literally the sun rose and was set on your ass. What is that like now?
Now in this present day, it's exciting.
Okay.
Because I had opportunity and time within the year I retired to really kind of find what's going to make me happy at the next stage of my life.
Right.
Because sports is about passion. Sports is about doing something you love, right?
But you also don't have to do shit for yourself when you're in that level.
Somewhat. Yeah, somewhat. There's things that you have. The pressure of the game and being successful is on you, right? As an athlete. A lot of things you don't have to do off the court, off the field or whatever, right? It's a give and take. But the moment I retired and I dreaded it for at least 3 years because I knew it was coming. I was like, it's going to be one day I wake up and I don't have to go to practice no more. It's going to be one day I wake up and I'll never have to run another step in my life, never compete again. And at first I said it with a smile. And then I was like, yo, like I felt vulnerable as hell.
Because you didn't know what was coming.
I didn't know what was coming.
Did you set yourself up to know what you wanted to do next?
I started to. It's hard setting something up and being successful with it while you're trying to 100% focus on your passion, which was running at that point in time, you know? So I couldn't find myself doing a podcast or putting on a track meet that's comprises of scholarships for winners. I couldn't sit down and start getting a book together because I was too busy traveling the world, going to China, going to Japan, going to Rome and competing. And by the time I had time to just rest, it was either splitting time between family or just finding me time, like sleeping or something, you know?
Sleep.
Yeah. There'd be times I want to go out to clubs and I'd be like, nah, I got to stand up. Or nah, I'm going to be up late because I got to get to practice at 8 o'clock in the morning the next day. So I sacrificed a lot.
But what was your plan for when you left?
Man.
'Cause you've been, what? It's been a year?
Been a year. Yeah.
Damn.
It's been a year. I felt like it's been more. It felt like it's been 5 years.
It does feel like it's long. It feels longer.
It feels longer. It's been a year and my plan afterwards was really, I had no real plan. I wanted to create something that was going to give me happiness.
And I think that's one of those things, and I wanted you to go there just because since I do know you personally, it's one of those things that's really hard, right? It feels like we should have everything figured out. And you're how old now?
41.
41. And I feel like maybe 10 years ago, we would have looked at that and be like, yo, if you don't have your shit together and know what you're going to do at 41, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You're old now. It's not going to happen. So someone might be looking at this and saying, Justin Gatlin had it all figured out. That's Justin. That's the guy that beat Usain Bolt. Of course, he had this entire plan and a future life set up. But it's not always like that because you had a whole identity in who you were. And I think that speaks to me as even a mom, or, you know, I was about to be a wife, or all these things. Like my identity was wrapped up in that. And when that gets taken away from you, just this morning I woke up and I'm also PMSing, so I get emotional. And I'd be just crying for no reason. But I'm crying. It's like 2 a.m. and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, all of what it was supposed to be, you know, what my life was supposed to be, where it was supposed to go, if this went this way, if that went that way, or if I didn't have my kids, or all of that comes into you. So now you face the space as an athlete and as a grown man known, because I got my little podcast, but I'm not worldwide. I mean, technically it's 87 countries, but whatever, that's besides the point. I ain't no Justin.
Hey.
So being Justin Gatlin, that's a household name. And for you to say, I don't know exactly what my future holds, because you still probably have another 40 years on this earth.
That was pressure on top of that. Why are you dating me? Look at this. You trying to look, I'm dying at 80 now. I'm dying. Look at that.
You want to be younger or older?
If I'm functional, I want to be older.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
At least 80. I mean, you're still fine. Like your knees, you walking.
So that was an extra pressure added on to it. Not knowing what I wanted to do. And I'm the kind of person, like, I need everything like chop, 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 chop. I need to be in order. I need everything.
Sports is structured.
Yeah, sports is structured. So when I left, that was pressure on it. And then when people, like you saying, household name, know who I am, and they're like, oh, he's fine. That was pressure added on top of that.
Because you can't just go and work anywhere. They're going to be like, oh, Justin's working here at a regular ass job.
Exactly.
And not that anything's wrong with that. What was the guy's name? Winslow or whatever his name was from the show that was working at the Trader Joe's that went viral because they saw him working there?
From the Cosbys.
I think so.
Yeah, from the Cosbys. He was, not Cliff. Cliff was the dad.
We all know what it was because it went viral.
The older sister's husband on the Cosby Show. He was working as a cashier. Right? And someone recognized him and he got back into acting because of that.
It went viral while they were shaming him first.
True.
That's what it was first. They were like, oh my God, why is he out here working at a grocery store, at a Trader Joe's? He's broke. He ain't got no more jobs. And because it went viral where they were making fun of him for a while, then someone picked him up to do some work. So there's a sense of shame that comes even for us sometimes. And for me to say, I didn't want to leave that relationship. Or what if my show fails? Or what if one of my business ventures fails? That has to be pressure on you too.
Absolutely. But you got to think, like, society looks at people who are on television as if they made it 100%, right? They're millionaires instantly. 90% are broke, or they're making minimum wage, or they're making just as comparable to anybody who's watching them on television.
Right.
And people don't realize that. And on top of that, there's a lot of people at home who have a job and it's consistent. They're on payroll. Actors aren't like that. You know what I mean? Actors and athletes, you can get cut tomorrow, either or, and you out of money. You out of job.
Done.
It's done. It's income until you get picked up again. You can get blackballed. So
that's scary.
It's intense.
So let me see how I'll frame this. Where are you going now? How do you deal with that pressure? Because it can get really dark during those times of not knowing what to do.
I think because I started off, I said that I'm happy now. I'm excited. I had an opportunity to sit still for a moment.
Okay.
And I realized and collected my emotions and my thoughts and realized that I wasn't under the pressure that I thought I was really under. I'm good. Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Emotionally and financially. Like we talked earlier, I was like, I went 4 years without having an income. Like not collecting a check weekly, monthly, annually, anything. Right? So for me, it was just like, I realized the fact.
You lost all endorsements.
I lost all endorsements. But then me coming back in the sport, I recouped so much more and then some. But then on the other side, I feel like I had to keep being successful. And I said, be still. Everything that you want, you pray for it, passion, have for it, it will come for you.
Now that sounds like, wow, you got it all together. At no point during that journey did you get to a point where you're like, fuck, I'm fucked. Even if it was just for a couple of days. Like there's so many times even for me today where I know that I'm okay. And I'll be like, everything's about to crash and burn. If I don't make $1 million by tomorrow.
Not necessarily, no. I never put that kind of pressure on myself and said, you know what, if I don't eat by tomorrow, everything is just gonna fall apart.
Could it be because of the dark time that you went through back in 2006? What was the last one?
Yeah, 6 through 10.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what happened there, and I will bring it up just because the NBA changed some stuff. In 2006, you were banned or suspended?
I was both. You suspended and banned. When you're suspended, you can't operate, function within the league at all.
So what happened?
So, I mean, long story short, I had a disgruntled massage therapist I was working with. His name was Chris. And
Chris. Nigga. What was he, white or black?
He was white.
Cracker. Let's edit this.
So he I think the fact that I fired him going in from 2005 from not seeing eye to eye when it came to funds that were supposed to be put out, right?
Okay.
He was getting paid by Nike, but also getting paid double by me. So he's basically double dipping, you know? And he also, on top of that, wanted a bonus.
Oh,
so
greedy.
Like, oh, okay, cool. So I was like, no, I'm going to let you go.
Typical.
Now, mind you, I couldn't find anybody with his skill set. He was really good at what he does. And me being only 20, 21 years old at that point in time, 22 years old.
Oh, damn, you were young.
I was young. You know,
18 years ago.
2020 hindsight, I was like, why would you fire somebody and hire them back? Of course they're going to be upset, right? So I felt like hiring him back and not giving what he desires put me in a situation that made me vulnerable, and he preyed upon that.
What'd he do?
Applied topical cream on top of me that had steroids and things inside of it.
Shut up.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you fuck him up?
Well, I mean, I couldn't, but there was a Nike rep that did, though.
Okay. Is he still doing this? Or doing what he does?
I don't think he is. Not to my knowledge. Especially not at the level it was. Because obviously it was worldwide news.
What happened but I don't remember. I've never heard that one. I've never looked it up either.
Yeah.
The only thing I remember, and it was from when you and I talked, that you also were on ADHD medication. Because we've both talked about the fact that we have issues with ADHD.
So I was diagnosed with ADD I was in second grade.
Oh, you ain't got the H?
I don't think I have the
No,
H.
you don't. You've been sitting there very still this whole
Very
time.
still
It's
the
been
whole
30
time.
minutes. You haven't moved. I have gone from left to right and my legs have changed.
Listen, if I tried to move the chair before we started, you saw what happened. It was almost a disaster, so I'm sitting still.
Okay, so he ain't got the
still.
H.
I know. But I was diagnosed in second grade.
Okay.
So at that age, I was the guinea pig. I was a guinea pig generation. So they put us on Ritalin. They put us on Zoloft, depression medication.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Like, I'm not depressed. I just want to move.
At that point in time, they couldn't decipher between the ADD and ADHD, so that they're all lumped together.
Okay.
So I went through my whole, from second grade all the way to freshman year in college, taking medication.
Regularly.
Did
it help?
Yeah. Got that far, education-wise. But then I tested positive because when we had to apply to run a certain race, you have to be able to acknowledge, declare medications that you're taking, and you also got to look up certain ones that are banned. Now, mind you, Adderall wasn't on the ban list. The chemical components of Adderall was on the ban list. Now you're asking a 19-year-old to tell you what the chemical components is in Adderall. How am I supposed to know that?
Right.
I don't know. So tested positive for that. So they sat me down for 2 years. I actually still could run collegiately because it was a professionally USA Track and Field sanctioned meet that I could do, right? Collegiately, I still was able to run the next year, came back, dominated like I always did. And then, and I mean, from that point, they lift the sanction a whole year early.
Just cause?
To this day, I have no idea.
Really?
Never been done in history. It's never been done before.
Jesus.
So I came back out. I came back into the sport. So having that, which should have been a warning, I got a ban. So having 2 bans in our sport, which can be either 2 years. Now the standard is 4 years. You get a lifetime ban if you have 2 bans.
So the first
2
one
fractions, yeah.
was the Adderall. The second one was the topical ointments.
Yes.
Wow. And even if you were able to prove that, they couldn't do anything about it?
Unless that therapist comes forth and says that he did it without my knowledge, or I have proof of video of anything else to show that I wasn't a part of the situation.
And you guys weren't necessarily putting it up for the gram.
We're not putting, yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
Now, the NBA now said that we cannot, there will no longer be testing for marijuana. Was marijuana, I believe it's one of the ones for the Olympics you can't use. It's banned.
So
correct?
here's the trick again. So marijuana, you can use it in the Olympics, certain Olympic sports, I believe. So track and field for sure.
Okay.
But you can't use it in competition. So listen to that. So if it's in your system, by the time you go and compete, and then you pee after the race, and it's in your system, that is saying that you used it while you were competing. So you can't smoke the night before or the week before.
Well, no, weed stays in your system for a minute.
Stays in your system for a minute, exactly.
Yeah. Unless
So
you take the little drink.
So it's under your discretion.
Okay.
That's in competition. So out of competition,
While you're
free to do it.
training or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but marijuana is one of those that it stays for so long in your system. And if you're a smoker, it's really in your system.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Your piss is like all marijuana.
Yeah.
And you got to use a baby piss.
Yeah.
you got to. So what do you feel about, do you feel like that should be taken out? Do you think the ADHD stuff, why weren't you able to speak about what was happening before? That way people will understand, because you were crucified in the media.
Yeah.
You were like a really, I remember your story being told. I mean, I was 19 at the time, 20 when everything was happening to you. So not into the sport, but I do remember there was this guy and he was a drug addict. And it was a drug addict and he was using these drugs. I could have sworn it was cocaine he was using when you got that second ban, because that's the way the media portrayed you. Why weren't you able to just say, hey, this is not what happened?
Well,
or this is what happened, I should say.
Well, for one, it was a storm. It was a shit storm. All right. So remember Balco? You ever remember that? Balco with Barry Bonds. It was like this. They were like this lab that were doing all these different tests on these major star athletes like Marion Jones.
Oh, they did a Netflix thing on them.
Yes.
Okay, there's a documentary.
Cool.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So that happened, right?
Okay.
And then my situation happened right after that. My situation is separate from that. But so many people were already up in arms about the Balco situation. And then my situation happened. I became the poster child of cheaters, basically, drug users and cheaters and things like that. Damn. And then, because their career was pretty much at the end. Barry Bonds was already Barry Bonds. You know what I mean? Marion Jones was already Marion Jones. I was really just starting my career. I just finished winning the Olympics, world championships, breaking the world record, all these kind of things like that. And then boom, that's what happened. When
you had the big win against Bolt, was that after the ban?
Yeah. Years after the ban.
Years?
Okay. Yeah.
So
that was like in 2017.
So there's nothing you could have done, essentially, to let them, to turn the narrative.
No. I mean, I couldn't, because the media just jumped on it. It was just like, ran with it. So any accolades that I had from that point on, they didn't address me as Olympic gold medalist or world champion or anything like that. It was 2-time drug offender. Every article I read from that point, it was 2-time drug offender. And that's how I was labeled for so long. It got me to a point where I didn't enjoy reading articles about me, even if they were deemed in a good light later, because it always was an insert or a snippet of certain things that happened in my career like that. So I kind of just not reading.
How do you not keep resentment to that person or the situation? Because I feel like I would still be looking for that motherfucker.
God.
The Lord will always deliver.
God, for real. Like, I just remember praying one night, just full of tears and just like, man, just God, just bring me back to where I was. I'm not asking you for anything more. Just get me back to where I was, and I will let all this off my chest and off my heart and off my spirit. And he did. And I was like, I'm good.
Do you think he brought you back to where you were? He brought you back better?
I guess God always brings you, right? So he brought me back better. Yeah.
Because I mean, if he could have brought you back to 4 years prior, but he has to bring you back and show you there's a reason for it. What's the reason for him sitting you down? I can think of plenty of reasons why.
I mean, 4 years prior wasn't bad, because like I said, at 2006 is when I got the ban, right? So 2005, I was double gold world champion. 2004, I was Olympic champion. 2003, I was indoor world champion. In 2006, before the ban, I broke the world record. So each year, I did something amazing. So coming back into sport, I was overweight. I was like 215 pounds.
Humbling experience, eh?
Yeah, it was. I felt like I was running with a backpack on my back.
But you had to work harder.
I had to work harder. And I had to break a lot of habits that I created within those like almost half a decade, right? So eating bad, not exercising, that kind of stuff. When I get depressed and stressed, I eat.
I love to eat.
So I get big.
I get skinny. Somebody break my heart again. I was looking good.
So, but from there, like it was an uphill climb.
Can you look back and say, you know what? God was trying to deliver me or teach me a lesson from this. I needed to stop doing X. Or while you were the rise to fame, the rise to being the best, is there something that you could say, did you need to be humbled? Do you think God said, oh, you think this is you and not me?
I don't think it was that necessarily. Have you ever said something to yourself, but to your soul and said, man, I hope that's never me or something like that? So I watched one of my friends become a cautionary tale. And I said, I'm never going to be that. And that rang in my ear for years. I remember saying that to myself, I'm never going to be that. And I became a cautionary tale.
I've admitted it here. I used to judge teenage moms while I was in high school. I would never. Horse, if you're having sex in high school and I go and get pregnant the very first time I have sex, he didn't even come. Like 17 years old. Well, it wasn't the first time I'm lying, but the first time with him. Then I remember also making fun of a little girl who was overweight. And I would do it all the time. In my family growing up, I do remember, I even have like body issues because of the way my family would, I would pass by 115 pounds. My mom would be like, moo, and like a cow, calling me fat.
Wow.
And I had this like resentment towards bigger people, or not even resentment. I was just mean.
Yeah.
And things that I would think or say, my daughter ends up having a eating disorder and being a bigger girl.
Do you think that you was upset because you didn't want to see yourself in them? So then you was like,
well, yeah, because growing up, it was like, if you're a teen mom, you're a whore. So I think there was indoctrinated like to believe all of these things.
Yeah.
So it was, and also I'll never be a single mom. Boom. Single mom number one. Then I'll never get hit by somebody. Boom. Got my ass whooped. I'll never get cheated on. The whole fucking city.
Yeah.
You know, all these things that I'm like, it would never be me. And I passed so much judgment. And every time God has humbled and these aren't even things that I would say, like you said, out loud. It was more of like within me, I see and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. It's like, look, you give like,
it's like,
I ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I know better. Or like, how can they be so stupid? Wow. Like, come on. Like, that's obvious. Something. And then it happens to you and you're like, whoa, maybe I thought I was too good. Maybe I thought I was too smart. And there's a humbling that God has done in my life, at least this whole time. It was actually your wife. And we talked about it last episode because we brought her up, where I couldn't understand when I came back from Jersey from my broken engagement. And none of it made sense. None of it made sense. And we were at brunch and out of nowhere, your wife gets up. She's like, I have to go to the bathroom. But right before she does so, she's like, you know what? What if you had to go through all of this to get closer to God? This entire journey has brought you so much closer in your own personal journey. The bitch went to the bathroom and I was crying. I said, what the fuck wrong with her? Who does she think she is telling me this? And that has stuck with me. It's about to be a year since I've been back now. Yeah. A year later since we went to brunch. And that still sticks with me because we look at these situations where we thought we were at the highest peak of a mountain. Mm-hmm. I was so in love, screaming from the top. I thought I was good. My business was thriving. I had the baby. I had the man. I had the house. I had it all. And I'm not better than anybody else. It's like, oh, you think this is you doing it? You think, oh, because you chose the right one? No, I can put you there and I can bring you right back out of it. You need to get close to me. And I feel like I lost that touch. Sometimes I would lose it and think that I'm the one driving. Yeah. And he's like, hey, let me show you real quick. Mm-hmm. Let me hop off the car so I can show you don't even have a car. Like, it's my vehicle. Yeah. So sometimes I've thought of that with you. It's like, was there something that you think you could have changed that brought you back and humbled you afterwards?
From that moment on, all I would say, it don't matter if it was a race, it don't matter if it was winning the Olympics or any kind of question that was given to me where I felt like my answer would really dictate my destiny. I'd just be like, it's a possibility or a strong possibility. I'm working towards it. I'm getting there. Right. So it gave me more of a soul navigation in a way, instead of saying, this is exactly what's going to
Right.
happen or not happen.
Did you ever have to, while you were dealing with the depression and the dark times during those 4 years, what was your go-to? What was your go-to as a man saying, this is how I'm going to get better? I'm sure there were years where you...
Oh, how did I get better? Because my go-to was Jaeger bombs and anything else that had liquor in it.
Jaeger bombs?
Yes.
That's
I
white
went-
people shit.
Listen, I went hard.
You're all in.
I was living back in Pensacola, Florida. So
Ooh.
it's a beach town. So you can imagine.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've heard about Pensacola.
Yeah.
Jaeger bombs?
Jaeger bombs.
Straight.
Straight.
Did you keep it in the freezer? 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes people keep the bottle in the
Yeah.
freezer. It doesn't freeze.
Listen, my homeboy had a Jaeger bomb machine. Just strictly a Jaeger bomb machine.
And the bottle goes in like
The
this.
bottle goes in like that.
Wow.
Yep.
So that was your vice, drinking.
Drinking became my vice. And I'm not a drinker. Like, I prefer smoking or anything else before I prefer drinking,
Mhm.
right? But I was drowning my sorrows.
It's
I was in
much
so
easier.
much pain. So much pain.
What'd that pain feel like?
It was a lot of embarrassment because I was always dealing with the media and what people thought.
Yeah.
I was looking at people who were my close friends and loved ones, and when they would encounter me, I can almost, it was almost like a mirror. I could see the sorrow on their face because they could see the sorrow on my face. Pain and pain, right? So we would just go out and party all the time. We were partying like every day of the week.
In Pensacola?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Wow. Every day in Pensacola. That's
Every day in Pensacola.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So drinking became your vice. Anything else that was your vice during that time?
The usual, women, having
That's
fun.
easy.
Yeah, just not caring. And not caring about, I guess, my health and my mental in a way. So I just kind of just,
It was dark.
yeah, wake up every day. I'd be like, all right, what am I doing today? Because I had nothing else to do.
How long did you stay that way?
One night changed my life.
What'd you do?
You
You woke up to a real ugly girl.
Nah. Oh, that was more like, how did I get here? Okay. I was definitely in the wrong room. Nah. But I was driving and I knew I was drunk. And an opportunity came where a cop shoulda and coulda arrested me and he didn't. I hit like a curb or a boulder and I was in a Porsche. And he was like, hey, you didn't see that boulder or curb right there? He was like, no, I didn't. He was like, oh, okay, well, make sure you know, be careful, get home safe. And I remember we're on the beach in Pensacola. So you got to drive 3 miles to get back to the mainland, right? So you got to go across this bridge. That's a 3-mile bridge. And I remember being so drunk, it just was blurry. And it's night. So it's like almost 2:00 in the morning, like pitch black.
Wow.
And I remember just being like, I could really just drive off the edge of this bridge at any moment and no one will know what happened to me, where I'm gone. And at that moment, it just changed my whole life. I was like, I gotta change my life because I'm spiraling. The shit that I didn't create for myself is creating the stuff that I am creating that's going to be to my demise. You find, people get in situations that be all over the news and then all of a sudden this life just goes crazy and then the next thing you know, they're dead or in jail, right? So I was like, that's what I was heading to. I can tell I was heading that direction.
When you say you were looking at that bridge and you saying you can be over it, was that more of like, I'm so drunk, I could fuck up and go? Or was it, I could end it here? Or you wanted to end it there?
I was never I'm going to end it here for myself kind of person because I knew what kind of sadness it would bring on my parents.
I love your mom.
Yeah, she loves you. She always asks about you. She's like, how's my girl doing?
She's so sweet.
She still talks about you to this day. I was like, Mama, I'm about to go do an episode with Carla. How's she doing? Tell her I said hello.
She's a little crazy, so just like me. But I've seen how your mom loves you, and that would hurt. I think some people just within the mental health and depression don't care, but you knew that if you kept going, that was going to be where you were going to end up.
Yeah, exactly. As much pride that they have for all the accolades that I have accomplished, they were going to have just equal sadness for how my life was going to fall apart. And I didn't want to give that to them. You know what I mean? So I had to change.
And what did you change then?
I started working out again. I stopped going out clubbing as much. I started training again. I started making my way to get into the NFL.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
What happened then?
I moved to Atlanta. I moved to Atlanta to go train with some specialists out there for the NFL.
It didn't happen?
Yeah, I made the practice squad for the Bucks back in 2000, like 8, 9,
Okay.
around that time. But I woke up one night, I was like, this is not me.
Mm.
That passion kicked in. And I was like, this is not me. I was like, I'm taking someone's spot who's worked really hard, probably since the age of 6, that they should be here.
Mm.
So I was like,
Not even for the check?
nah, the check didn't matter to me at that point. It really didn't. I'm driven off of passion.
Gotcha.
So when that happened, I just said to myself at 2:00 in the morning again, looking up at the ceiling, I was like, I'm gonna go back to track. I'm gonna work my ass back to track. I'll get back in a couple of years. By the time I get back in it, I'll be in shape to be able to go run.
Yeah. 2 years. So you had a 2-year plan
I had a 2-year plan.
and you stuck to it.
I stuck to
Did
it.
you ever fall off the train? Or
No.
the wagon, how they say. No?
Nah,
Wow, you're really strong mentally. I fall off all the time.
uh-uh.
I be fucking up.
No.
I don't know what it is about 2 a.m., but I wake up at 2 a.m. and I'm like, I'm going to do better. And then sometimes 5 p.m. comes around. I'm like, fuck it. I'm not working out today. I'm not working out.
I still would be in Atlanta if I was starting and stopping. I was like, look, you in it, keep going.
Therapy?
Not for a long time, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And I think in Black culture, you're weak if you go in therapy. You're
Yeah.
weak if you talk to a therapist,
Absolutely.
psychiatrist, any of that kind of stuff. You're weak, especially as a
Black
male.
man. Yep.
As a Black man who also is in sports and also has achieved at a high level, you should be so strong. You shouldn't need that.
Especially mentally.
Exactly.
That's
So
dumb as
I went for like 5-6 years with all this on my heart, and I didn't really get it off my chest. And then I ran into a therapist who changed my damn life.
No pun intended. Ran into a therapist.
She literally locked me in a room. I came back into sport.
Wait a
just
minute.
got back
What
into
year was
sport.
this? I'm calling the wife. The woman locked in there. Fuck the therapist.
2010. She real cool, right? Trinidadian, long dreads, just laid back, right? Vibes.
Okay.
And she came over to me. I was at a USA track and field retreat that they have for the athletes annually, so they can go off and just do their, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Jobs do. And she saw me. Never met her before in my life. She saw me. She says, so much pain's in you. Just like that. So much pain is in you.
What'd you say? Mind your business.
I said, no, I looked at her. I said, I know. Just like that. And after the session was over, everyone left. And then she was like, not you. And then she closed. We're in like a ballroom. So she closed this big ass door. Boom, closed it. And then she just said, no, you got to let it out. And like, I literally like cried so hard. I was like roaring, crying.
Wow.
And then from that point on, I talked to her periodically when necessary and needed. Cause she's like, you don't need like session every week. She says, come to me when your heart tells me you need me. And I still talk to her to this day.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And I love that you're saying that, because we're sometimes stuck on, I need to go every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to go every week. I am stressed every day. But there are some people, I get to points where I'm like, I don't need it every week. Mm-hmm. I can go once a month. I just need a tune-up, right? Then something hits me and it's like, whoa, knocks me off of, the path that I was in, and I go back every week. And then I'm like, okay, I'm feeling better. I'm doing all right. I received the tools that I needed. And you don't have to go every week. So I love that you're saying that you've never been like a weekly crazy person like us over here. It's my entire team. We're all crazy. They're going to come every time they hear that. But it's okay to just go when you need it. But when you do need it, and when you did feel your heart calling, you did it.
Pour it out. I just unload it. It wouldn't even be structured conversations. We would just talk. We'd just have conversation. I just would pour out to her. Because I'm not really an emotional kind of person. So I keep my emotions, and I have a lot of layers to me. Mm-hmm. So trusting her and knowing that she does well for my soul, I just would get on the phone and just emotionally vomit.
Does you saying that you're not an emotional person, does that personally affect your relationships?
Yeah, all the time.
You might want to call.
All the time.
What's her name again? Trini Therapy. Having some issues opening up.
Once again, I was always taught that emotions, especially if you can't control your emotions, they make you weak.
It's that part. It's that not being able to control them. But once you let them out and you learn how to Have you gotten to that point yet at 40? Do you want to get to that point? Do you want to be able to deal with your emotions better?
My child makes me. My youngest,
The
my
baby.
2-year-old, my baby, he brings my emotions out.
Mm.
And it's filtered. You know what I mean? Like it comes out healthy and good, and I love it, you know?
Okay.
Like but other than that, like I always would keep everything inside. And I would use that though. So for a long time, all the stuff that I went through, like negativity and all the media, I would use that on the track. That's what made me like so savage on the track.
But I think that comes to show us that if we don't deal with it early on enough, all that you're using will stop at one point.
Oh yeah.
And once it stops, now you have to go home to your wife more often. And now you have to see your parents more often. Now you have to deal with real world conflict without being, the superstar. How do you then regulate those emotions?
I mean, I wouldn't suggest anybody go the route I went, which is like keeping them in and then use them as a focal point for something and just being like a savage with it.
Don't
Like,
do that.
I wouldn't do that because actually not letting it out, it started bleeding into my regular life.
Yeah.
It started making me like real aggressive. Like I would be aggressive all the time. Never to the point where I'm like violent, but I just be like,
You knew you shouldn't have
snappy.
said things or done
Yeah.
things or reacted
Oh
a
yeah,
certain way.
100% all the time. I'm like, damn, Justin, why'd you say that, dog? You know you wrong. If that was
So-
said to you, you would cry too. Why you do that?
Are you planning on what are you doing now today to get better with that?
Communication.
But how do you have the tools to communicate better?
My tools is acknowledging it. I know most of the time when I'm doing something that lacks emotion and is going to bring that aggressiveness out, I just would be like, you know what? Carla, I didn't like what you said to me. That made me feel some type of way. And then I reacted this way. And then I shouldn't react that way to you. And then I think it put us in a situation. So next time I'm going to work on not doing that. Because if I do that, then you're going to do this and it's going to lead it to this every time. So I can illustrate exactly how it's going to happen. So I have the power and the tools to say, all right, slow down, Justin. Let's walk through this emotionally before we get to a point where
So
you open
you
your mouth.
feel like you are progressing emotionally. You're just not doing it the therapy way.
Yeah.
Reading books.
Yeah.
You read books?
Yeah. I read books.
What's your favorite book right now? Or one that you have read that has helped you at least with what you're going through or what you've been through or unpacking some of that.
I like reading the subtle art of not giving a fuck.
By Mark Manson?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good book.
That is a great
A
book.
good book. A lot of stuff that I know already,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of books you're going to read, it's about re-practicing it.
Not only that, a lot of these books have stories within them of other people, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's not just me. And sometimes it feels good to know that it's not just you feeling that,
Yeah.
and going through it. Well, I appreciate you for opening up. We could, just like last time, we could probably sit here way longer. So maybe we'll bring you back. You live closer now. And you have your own podcast too.
I do.
You do. So we're going to talk about that in a second, but we do have some questions. Let's see. Should we do one about a husband that started doing marijuana constantly, or did your depression, anxiety fade away when you found your career? Someone that's changing careers. Let's do that one. Okay. So it says, I've never had a job I love. I'm a mom now, and I think that's part of my life purpose, but I'm constantly thinking about running a business, making my own hours, helping people, making a really good income. It's like I know I'm destined for more, even though I'm not sure how I'm going to get there. I often wonder if my depression and anxiety will fade once I find this career or any other parts of my purpose. Is there any advice you could give? Well, we just talked about this now because you needed to leave. So there was anxiety from leaving.
Yeah.
And I'm not quitting. What's it called? Retiring.
Yeah.
So do you feel like the anxiety... Are you where you want to be right now?
No, I don't think that I definitely know I'm not where I want to be. I'm happy where I'm at, for sure. I'm blessed. I think that's what I operate on, being blessed. When you focus on being blessed, it kind of helps kind of like soothe that anxiety sometimes. Because then you can look at the things that you do have that you're happy about. You know
Operate
what I mean?
from a space of gratitude. Always like, oh my goodness, my house is paid for. Even to the smallest things as my water's running today.
Yeah.
Your
kids are healthy.
Your kids are healthy.
Those kind of things. Like you said, your water, you can wake up in your bed
You ever
Every
woke
day.
up to the water being off? It is not a good feeling. You can't
No.
flush the toilet. You can't brush your teeth. You can't clean you left the dirty dishes. Now you can't wash them. It's happened to me because I would not put that bitch on, what's it called? Auto pay. And I still won't for personal reasons. But yeah, it's been shut off a few times and I'm like, oh, I ain't got no water.
Ain't it crazy how they can just turn it back on? They just pull up and just turn the little thing and it comes back on?
Now they do it from over there. They don't tell anybody anymore.
Oh, it's all back on.
Yeah, it got turned off about a year ago. Again, I'm like, why is my water off? Here I am because I won't put it on auto pay. And it's like $30 a month. So it's my cheapest bill. And it'll still
won't put it on auto pay.
No, because one time it was like $1,300 because a pipe burst underground.
Oh, you was like, oh, hell no. We ain't
And
going
they
back
took out $1,500 from my account and I ended up having to pay it anyway. Rude. So now you're having to get paid. I will get somebody else's name on this water if it happens again. I'm not giving you $1,500 and I fill up a pool of nothing. Like we didn't even get to enjoy the water. No, but going back to this, sorry. You're not where you're operating from a space of gratitude and just being grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
So you don't feel any type of anxiety about getting to where you want to get.
So I also work with a company that's called, his name is Group 1001, has multiple subsidiaries underneath it. I directly work with a company called Gamebridge, right? Now the Group 1001 as a whole is a $36 billion company. They do they do insurance and annuities, all this kind of stuff like that, right? Very corporate. And when I first came in there, I was awkward because.
Oh, you're still working there?
Yeah, I still work there. It was very awkward for me because I didn't realize where I fit in at. I didn't know, I didn't have the licenses or on this kind of thing. So anxiety did rise. But then I realized, I was like, wait a minute, like this is a blessing for me because I can do this job without the pressures of X, Y, and Z. And then I can work on my projects as well that I want to work on side. Now I'm juggling a lot. I am juggling a lot. But I'm making steps towards, success on all angles.
It's like you're back grinding.
Yeah.
You're back to square one because now this is like the Justin after. What does the Justin after do now and setting that up?
That's life. But if you realize it, that's how.
We're always reinventing ourselves. You're pivoting.
Always, And
do you feel like you're living in your purpose or you're fulfilling your purpose?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I started a meet that's going to be June 3rd this year. It's going to be driven by scholarships. So we have over $500,000 in scholarship funds for young athletes
I gotta be young?
nationwide.
I can go back to being an athlete. I need some money.
Come on, jump in. You can pull a couple more jerseys.
Can you imagine my hip will fall off? So $500,000 scholarship. So kids go and run?
So yeah, obviously these bigger schools, the Power 5 schools, they get a lot of attention. A lot of these kids who aren't even qualified physically to even be at these schools, they're yearning and wanting to be at these schools. And there's a disconnect from these schools who could actually utilize their talent.
Right.
And these kids can get an education and still run and do what they want to do. Now, once you get into the system, you can jump in the portal now and go, or you could stay where you are and build the legacy that you desire to have. But there's a disconnect. There's a lot of these kids who aren't even getting calls, letters from colleges, period.
Wow.
So I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. So we're having a scholarship track meet that's going to happen June 3rd at IMG.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's dope. So you're using, technically, Justin himself is using a 9-to-5 to fund and move forward other dreams of yours.
Exactly.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I think we all look back as a setback and it's like, it's not. But our question is, does depression and anxiety go away? For someone that deals with anxiety really bad, it doesn't go away. It actually gets worse. I feel like, you get to this dream place and if you're dealing with anxiety is like you're always in the future. So I'm always in the future. So to answer your question, no. It doesn't go away. You learn how to deal with it. New things will come at you. I always say new levels, new devils. More money doesn't mean that you have less problems. More money just means that you're able to afford to fix a lot bigger problems now. That's all that means. That means that 5 years ago when I got, 2 $7,000 bills from a lawyer, back then I would have been like, oh. But this time it's like, oh, I'm making more money. Oh, well, now it's going to that. I'm just able to afford it because the troubles become bigger.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to, if you're a person that deals with anxiety and depression already, get your tools. Have your tools in your pocket so you can deal with them when you get to that next level as well.
And acknowledge your habits.
Yes.
How do you face situations? There's always a habit that's attached to it. Are you looking at it in a negative light more than you look at it in a positive light, or a neutral situation, right? And how can you grow from it? So figure out the habit and kind of just pivot from that point to a better habit. How you solve
and
those
even see that's a superpower. I feel like my anxiety, especially my ADHD, I've been taking it more as a, now I say it's my superpower. It really is.
Oh yeah, it is.
No one's brain, most people's brain do not operate like mine does. But that also means that I had to accept that I don't execute. Like today I have Felix here. If you guys notice, at Media PLG, he's been with me all day. I know he's like, this bitch can talk and move all day long. He is tired. He's been with me since what time did you get there? 7? 6:30 in the morning. He's like, give me that 30 minutes back. 6:30 in the morning he's been with me. We've been going all day. I can execute what he's executing. I physically know that I can't. Some people will come into the studio and have a phone up and then record the behind the scenes, go home, create their reel, do what they have to do, and they can do it all. I know how my brain operates, and I know what I can execute and what I can do. I can't do what he does.
Yeah.
I can't do what Vivian's doing. I can't sit still like you're sitting still. It's impossible for me to sit still.
Listen, I get it. It's like a kink or in the system or something like that. Because it's like when I'm not like on my Adderall, right? Because I still take it now.
Me too.
So when I'm not on my Adderall, I can literally read a whole paragraph and I'm like, what the fuck did I just read? Because you're thinking about 100 things while you're reading this paragraph.
No, but seriously. You ever sat there and it's literally like the meme, all this going around.
Yeah.
And it's just own whatever disability you have, because I really still am trying to get me a handicap sticker. Own whatever it is that you have, whatever weird thing that you do, whatever you feel like is holding you back, own it and take power over it. Mm-hmm. Because if I let my ADHD or my anxiety specifically take over, I'd be on OnlyFans. Not getting much money because I don't know how to dance or
you
do
can be
all
a foot model.
I have bunions.
There's somebody out there like them bunions.
They sure have. They've sucked them before. To me, people like bunions. Name them. All the ones you've ever seen me post. All them niggas suck these toes. We're about to read a Bible verse. Come on, Justin. We can't go in there like this. Lord.
God made toes.
Lord, you made my toes. And I'm not going to put them on OnlyFans. I like to end the show with a Bible verse just to bring it back to my roots. And didn't we go to, you used to come to the Bible study, didn't you? I did,
with Laurent.
Yeah. You and Laurent came on the show.
Yes.
So Laurent, my goodness, this is like almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
9-10 years ago, we used to go to Bible study. I know. So I'm still rooted within, I truly believe in God and reading the Bible and what is in there. I'm a work in progress, will forever be a work in progress. So I just want to, when people see me, hear me, to know that I'm his child and I'm walking and everything that I'm doing is for a specific purpose. Everyone that I sit with and I have a conversation with is bringing us something, to learn from and to help us become better people. And we all have shit we've gone through. Sorry, God. I didn't mean to say that. Okay. I'm going to read the Bible now. It is 1 Corinthians 10:13. This verse says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." And this one is so real to me because temptation, I struggle with temptation. I struggle with, for myself, being only a year out of a relationship, sometimes wanting to send a text and just saying like F you or whatever to get a reaction, or going back to those like toxic days of mine, or the temptation of eating. Like I while I was hella depressed, I wasn't eating, but then now that I'm not in that space, in that super dark space anymore, Uber Eats is my go-to. Okay. I have one American Express on Uber.
This is why we get along. You love Amazon too?
Oh,
we get along so well. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Amazon.
Uber Eats and Amazon.
Every day. So I had to slow down with Uber Eats, honestly, because I gained some weight. But also I was looking at my monthly thing on that card and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing, honestly? So I get tempted by that. I get tempted by, things in the world at times. Maybe I can go out and just hang out. Or maybe I open up Hinge and waste niggas' times all the time. I'm just wasting people's time. And I'm like, Carla, why are you doing this? So then I go back to the fact that when I feel like the walls are closing in and I can look to the side or somewhere else and get tempted to go somewhere to get away from it, I look back and say, I know God has a way for me to get past this. If he's putting me through this, there's an end goal to it, and he's giving me the capabilities to get through it.
So you said something metaphorically. You said the walls are closing in, right?
It literally feels like that physically.
Do you think that it's not necessarily the walls are closing in when it comes to pressure and stress, but it actually is creating a focal point for you to stay focused on what your goals are?
Look at you.
I'm just saying.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Smart or something. It could be. It's like, stop looking to the side and just focus. But that's really hard to do, especially with someone that has the H and the ADD.
I got you.
I can't just, come on, I want to zigzag and I want to try this while I'm here and I want to try that while I'm there, but I need to focus. And this past year of my life has been one that I've had to focus and stay looking forward. Don't look back. Don't look back to the side, because you will derail yourself. I am not emotionally strong enough right now. I might not be mentally strong on certain days, especially when I'm PMSing. It's hard, but I go back to, reading certain things. I need patience. And this one says, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. We will all be tempted. Everybody is tempted at some point in time. And it's up to us. The devil tempts us. God tests us. So he will never tempt us. So anything that feels like temptation is not of God. And anytime there is a test, you will keep going through that test until you pass it. And we know deep down what's temptation and what's a test.
Oh, absolutely.
So pass that test and know that you can endure anything you're going through. I think it was Steve Harvey who said, you've overcome 100% of your bad days.
Yeah.
You have literally overcome the worst you've been through. If your kids had terrible health at some point, if you maybe had cancer and passed it, if you went through a domestic violence, if you lost your career damn near, all of that you've passed. So there's nothing right now that any of us can't overcome. So that is my Bible verse for today. Where can they find you and your new podcast?
Always can find me on Instagram. Justin Gatlin, all together, just my name all together.
It's an easy one.
It's easy. And podcast is Ready, Set, Go. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on Apple.
You can find it everywhere, actually.
Everywhere.
Listen to the podcast.
Yeah. I'm not in 87. I don't think I'm in 87 countries yet. So I'm inspiring to be. I'm trying to be like you. But
we'll get you there. I told you, I'm gonna help you out. No, yeah, you're doing great. Keep speaking. Because I know that as a man, as a Black man, sometimes other men need to see you doing it, and be open about it. That's all I would say. Just be open about it. Because I think a lot of men do it in private. And when you're in the public eye, if you can, and if it's something you're comfortable with, you're an example to other men that might feel that shame that you said.
That's my old age now. You get to that old age where like your grandparents, they'd be like, I don't care. I'm going to say whatever I want to say.
Yeah.
I'm getting there already. I'm getting there early.
Well, I don't know if it's early. You're kind of old.
I'm Uncle Grandpa.
Your Uncle Grandpa. Your Uncle Grandpa. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to make sure to link all your stuff. And if you have anything with that meat, also so people can check it out for that. But we are out of here.